Learn the shocking truth about design trends and why they don't matter. Hi, I'm Debbie Talienko, the creator behind My Pocket Designer. Does your home look outdated to you and you're not sure how to update the room scheme? We'll talk about the common mistakes that DIY homeowners make when it comes to room decor. The first is what I'll call spontaneous shopping. So you're out and about and you see things and you just mindlessly pick them up because you think that they're going to work in your home. And then you get home and sadly you discover that they really don't. It's just a big hamster on a wheel. You're just constantly doing this, then returning things to the store, and it wears you out, right? You waste a lot of time and energy doing that kind of thing, and sometimes money if you don't get back to the store. It just goes in a closet, or it ends up in a room. This is honestly a client's before picture of a dining room, and she just loved to collect things. People would give her gifts, and after a while you run out of places to put things. So you just end up with a big cluttered mess when you don't think about your purchases ahead of time. Here's another one where they just had too many things, too many styles going on in the house, and so just you don't get a good feeling when you look at something like this, right? So we want to keep it making sense and cleaned up, and again, having, as you've heard me say before, having only things that you love in a room. I don't need to say much about this either. Same kind of thing, just like collecting, and it just stacks up. So then another mistake I see people make is that they buy a lot of things online, and then you run into issues with returns. Probably with the exception of Amazon and Wayfair, you can get into trouble doing this if you're not careful. So you always want to check the return policy before you make a purchase online, because it's very easy to make mistakes when you're buying something through a computer. The color may not be right, or you may not have an actual sample of the fabric or whatnot. So it's very easy to get the wrong thing, or something that you thought was one thing and it turns out to be another, and then to get stuck with it or to pay hefty return charges. A classic example is not being prepared. This is actually a picture of one of my students' kit that she keeps in the car. So in this case, she was working on her family room. So she has fabric samples from her sofa and pillows, and then she has her wall color and her trim color and her floor. And then she's got a tape measure and a pen, a notebook or two, and she's got a ruler. So she's been very smart about this. She keeps all this stuff in her car, so when she gets out and she happens to see something, she's prepared and she has notes about what she actually needs. So she won't make those mistakes and won't be running back and forth. And the last mistake I see people make, and this is very common, is what I call decision by committee. So you get an idea for your room and you've got a plan made, let's say, and then you start asking your friends and family. Pretty soon you get as many opinions as you have friends and family, and then it just becomes confusing. So I would say stick to your heart, have your plan, have a good reason for your plan, like the decisions you make sure that you have good reason for those decisions, and then stick to it. Because if you start listening to too many people, you're just going to get confused. So now let's talk about how to make your room and your style uniquely you. And you've heard me say this before, that you only want to use things that you really truly love in a room, and then get rid of everything else, all of that clutter. But at the same time, there are some tricks to doing this to make it kind of gel, to make it be cohesive, and to make sense of all of the elements in the room. So I'll show you a little bit about that next. If you think about it, you don't have to follow a certain trend or style name. You can make it up. You can combine styles. This is how you get to what you really love. So if you start looking at a lot of photos for inspiration, and you start, saving things that look good, that resonate with your heart, that you love, you start to say, oh, I kind of like things a little bit eclectic, but I lean Parisian. I like really formal, girly, frilly, I like that sort of thing. Lots of gold maybe, or I'm urban modern, or I'm British colonial, but I love coastal colors. So that kind of thing. So that's how you really define, or how you get to naming your style. But it's really just a name. It's really more about using pieces that you love. So here's an example, and you might think I've lost my mind, but here's an example of things that would work together in a room, honestly. And how many styles can you see in here, right? So that chair relates, because it has a curvy back, relates to the curviness of the cocktail table, or the round mirror, or the round lamp. The cocktail table has kind of an organic shape, and that relates well to the rug in the background. The sofa has a gold base, which relates to the mirror and the metallic parts of the lamp. The dark frame on the chair relate well with the dark fabric on the sofa. So you start to see that these things make sense together. I see another similarity, which would be the thin legs on the sofa and the thin tapered legs of the chair, and the thin frame around the mirror. So as you can imagine bouncing your eye around this room, it's like things make sense together because they have similarities. So these are words that you would use to define the picture that we just saw. Things with curves, organic shapes, formality, contemporary, natural. So when you start putting your pieces into words, then that helps you to define what you're going to be looking for when you're shopping. Here's another example. So again, a lot of different styles here. You have kind of a chic chandelier, and then, or boho, let's say. We have a boho pillow. We have a gold cocktail table, but there's a lot of geometric shapes in all of these pieces, so they look well together. The fringe on those pillows goes well with the fringiness detail on the chandelier. The neutral of the slipcover on that chair goes well with the backdrop of the rug. The rug has a fringe, the rug has a geometric shape, so you can start to see these things all speak to one another in a room. So words here that we might define that room with are geometric, organic, fun, easy, and chic. The next example, again, a really crazy mix of furnishings, but they work for some reason. So why is that? So the blue in the carpet and the blue on the sofa of the settee. You have an organic poof and kind of a just a knit texture, which is beautiful. Again, a lot of geometry in this grouping. There's a natural looking stone kind of base on the lamp. You have a sun mirror. You have lots of gold in every piece, or metallic. So you can see that there's a lot of things that make this pull together and work as a group, even though it's not one set style. So the words that we might define that room with would be soft, geometric, neutral, curvy, and natural. Here's one more example. In this case, we have more of a mid-century sofa and chair. There's wood on that chair, which relates well to the wood in the accent chair over on the left. There's kind of a wood grain, looks like, to the dresser. And then the lamp itself looks to be glass and has a very rough kind of natural texture, kind of like a tree trunk. The art itself feels that way as well. And the glass, I think, on the pendant lighting relates well to the glass of the floor lamp. So everything has a partner here. I think it works really well together. And you might describe this room with terms like mid-century, farmhouse, industrial, and natural. So lots of things mixed, but they do work. So again, I just can't stress enough. Listen to your heart. Be true to you and make it fun so that you can make it last. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do now and hit that bell so you can be notified the next time I release another video. If you'd like to discover your own style, I do offer a design quiz, and you'll find a link in the description below. And in case you missed it, watch this video next and I'll show you how to properly measure a room. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.